I'm starting the recording. So this is, I think this is episode 6 of the podcast. Are we up to 6 now?
I have no idea. I thought that you were going to look into that last time, and it was either 4 or 5.
I think the last one was 5. So this is episode 6 that we're recording. I'm here with Bucky right now. We have some of your stories, Tales on the Winds of Time. I think we only read maybe 1 or 2 in some of the podcasts previous to this one. And you have a lot of new content that you're working on. So we've been reading more
Yeah,
from that than your spin-offs.
we're like a television show. We get spin-offs to the originals, so everybody has the spotlight.
Well, you wonder now where the industry had come from, where they have so many different stories or spin-off stories, and now it's just like you had one episode, or when television first came out, you had what, like 2 or 3 things that were entertainment, and everything else just spun off from those things.
Yep.
So it's just like a variety show. Do we get like a magic pill and a potion and stuff like that? Gypsy fortune teller.
Well, we do have some things that tell about the future, and some things that go into the past, and some things that pertain to the now. So we do that in a way.
Yes, and we were explaining, well, in the live, but in the last few times, it's all times playing out now. So even the things happening that we're doing now in a thyroidal field of the body of energy that each person's spiritual self is, it bounces out to the edge of that bubble. And since we keep going, we're not limited. Sometimes we keep going and it goes past that. That's the future potentials. But it comes back to us. So a lot of the things we're doing in our linear life are either repeats or reflections of things from the past. We can also influence the past or hear the past to learn from it before we even go into it. And then that also will affect the future potential steps we're taking in the next nows.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a more eloquent way of putting that than the mouthful that I just kind of said. Okay, so we both decided that we were going to do the spin offs from the Scales of Time, which I think we read in the last one. And you've went in depth with each of the dragons or each of the serpentines or reptilians from them.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am, we sure did.
so let me ask, what inspired you to spin it off?
Pretty much just because everything can be expanded in a way. Like a conversation could has infinite possibilities. So a story, if you get down to the source material or really the very basis of the story, you should be able to take it in any direction that you.
So knowing the base code.
Yeah,
That would be more along the lines of fractals, which we see, right? Sources
yeah,
fractal like mirrors, and it keeps
but
repeating itself.
like threads
Threads.
because we're on that thing.
We're on the threads. We're on little tails on the winds of time.
Yeah. I still don't know where I got that from. That it's just something that came up, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty catchy." So that's what the book was.
You could take that in so many different ways. I know you have it as tails, but what if it's tails? And time
Yeah,
is time on the winds of time. So it could be the tails of a kite, which is still a thread. You have tails. So that's funny. What comes behind what is being manifested off from the source point.
yeah.
It works though. Okay, so do you want to read the first one? Or should I read the first one?
You always go first, isn't it? You ladies first.
Well, thank you. I will read the first one and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, so the first spin off one is The Feathered Serpent. In the sacred valley, the feathered serpent was more than just a creature, it was the embodiment of life itself. The vibrant colors of its plumage mirrored the changing seasons, with deep greens heralding the arrival of spring, bright yellows signaling the warmth of the sun, and fiery reds announcing the harvest's abundance. The people believed that each hue represented a different facet of existence, connecting them to the cycles of nature. Every year, as the time for the serpent's return approached, the valley erupted in a flurry of excitement and anticipation. Villagers from distant lands traveled together at the foot of the great mountain, bringing with them offerings of the finest corn, beautifully crafted flowers, and intricately woven textiles. They believed these gifts would please the feathered serpent and ensure a bountiful year ahead. The air would be filled with the sweet scent of blooming flora, mingling with the earthy aroma of freshly tilled soil, creating a symphony of sensations that celebrated life. As dawn broke on the day of the festival, the villagers adorned themselves in garments that reflected the serpent's colors, channeling its vibrant spirit. They painted their faces with intricate designs, symbolizing the unity of their community and their connection to the divine. Songs and dances echoed through the valley, telling the story of the serpent's past, of its creation of the land, and of the harmony it brought to their lives. The rhythm of drums pulsed like the heartbeat of the earth, drawing everyone into a trance that transcended the mundane. During the ceremony, elders would recount tales of feathered serpents' wisdom, shared lessons passed down through generations. They spoke of the importance of balance between giving and receiving, between nurturing the earth and respecting its limits. The serpent was a reminder that life was a cycle and that every action had a consequence. Through these stories, the people learned to cultivate not just their fields, but also their relationships with one another and the world around them. As twilight descended, the villagers gathered in a circle, lighting torches and candles to illuminate the darkness. They offered their prayers, sending them skyward, believing that the feathered serpent would hear their hopes and dreams. In the flickering light, the valley transformed into a realm of magic, where the boundaries between the earthly and the divine blurred. It was in these moments that they felt the presence of their revered guardian, a warmth enveloping them as if the serpent itself was wrapped them in its embrace. The festival culminated into a breathtaking display as the feathered serpents soared above them, its feathers catching the last rays of sunlight, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the valley. In that shared moment of awe, the people felt a profound connection to their heritage, to each other, and to the natural world. They understood that their lives were intertwined with the fate of the valley and the creatures that it inhabited it. They vowed to honor the feathered serpent through their actions, ensuring that its legacy of life and abundance would continue for generations to come. In the hearts of the villagers, the feathered serpent was not just a myth or legend, it was the essence of their existence, a guiding light that transpired them to live in harmony with the world around them. Through their reverence, they kept the spirit of the feathered serpent alive, weaving its story into the very fabric of their lives, a testament to the enduring bond between humanity and the magnificent beings that once ruled the skies. So,
See, like we were just barely talking about the interconnectedness of everybody and everything.
yes, I was going to ask, how is the feathered serpent different from thunderbirds?
Thunderbird is said to be more like a giant hawk or something like that. Like from like you remember when they said that they long time ago, but like back in dinosaur age, there was like giant birds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that comes from. And because I looked into it a little bit, because I actually wrote a story about that, but that's for another time. But anyway, it said that um, that was one of the many deities that the the Alaska natives like revered for controlling the weather, like the 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 rain and all that sort of stuff.
So the feathered serpent, or the was the one that controlled the weather.
Yeah, I think so,
So that would
if
be
I remember correctly.
well, that would make sense with like they're seeing the aurora, right? You would know what season you're in, how the earth was tilted, and it would be like colorful. It'd be a light at night.
Yeah.
There's also mythology, I know there's Australian or Aboriginal, where they had the feathered serpent as well. And it was also, I don't remember if it was the feminine aspect, but I do remember that it was one of their sky deities that um, was also about weather, but also was when like spirit would speak to them.
Yeah.
So that, and then we also had the feathered serpent, which would have been Quetzalcoatl, which was I think in the
Yeah.
original. So, which was the teacher and such. So you kind of see the same themes. It's very, and surrounding colors, which are vibrations and healing. I kind of like all of that.
Because I tried to stay because when I wrote that I went back and because in the scales of time, remember it actually mentions Quetzalcoatl in the that part,
Hmm.
and so I took that, and that's where the whole thing about when the feather serpent rose into the sky, catching the last bits of sunlight. That's where I took that was because that's just showing how powerful or how expansive those colors could be in the valley from just that little bit of sunlight, which is something to do with also how powerful you would be if you don't limit yourself to certain constructs of limitation.
Right. So if we're again, the spirit inside is making consciousness and the material world experience on the outside. So if you look at the snake, you have the twin snakes, which some people call the Kundalini rising, right? The energy, the healing energy up your spine. And you look at
Mhm.
the chakras are all the rainbow colors. Even that is this, as humans awaken, as people awaken to that energy, that connection to spirit, the great spirit, that's reflective on the outside. So you see the spirit reflecting on the outside. You've the feathered serpent, the teacher, the healer in the skies, right? How do you equate that to what's going on? Because as within, so without, as above, so below. So you have it all reflective.
Yeah,
And it's awesome to kind of see other people's perceptions of how they want to experience the reality around them through what they're experiencing in their own peoples, in their own body, in their own temples.
yeah. But you see, they didn't go to a place of worship. They were just right there at the base of the mountain where everybody had gone throughout the generations of paying homage to the feathered serpent.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't. They didn't. They were out in basically just nature, showing their reverence for their cultural being.
It's a lot of gratitude to go towards, again, seeing something on the outside that is that, like you're saying, reverence, that honor, that, hey, we get to see this amazing thing and be a part of it.
Yeah,
Okay, so you have the next one. And thank you for the last one. I think your next one is the Serpent Dragon.
yeah. Serpentine Dragon.
Serpentine Dragon. All right.
Okay. In the heart of the ancient forest, where sunlight filtered through a canopy of emerald leaves, a winged serpentine creature held a sacred place in the lives of the tribes. Its magnificent form, gliding gracefully above the treetops, was a sight that inspired awe and reverence. To the people, this being was not merely a creature of myth, but a living embodiment of nature's strength and wisdom, a guardian whose presence was woven into the very fabric of their existence. The tribes believed that the creature was the bridge between the earthly realm and the spiritual world. Its human like features made it relatable, a reminder that they too were part of the great tapestry of life. They spoke of its eyes, which gleamed like polished stones, capable of seeing the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. In their stories, the creature would appear during moments of crisis, offering guidance through visions and signs. It was said that when the winds howled, and storms threatened, the creature would descend, wrapping its wings around the trembling trees, calming the turmoil and restoring harmony. Ceremonies were held in its honor where fires crackled and the sweet scent of herbs filled the air. Elders would gather the young ones around, sharing tales of the creature's feats, how it had once thawed a great beast that threatened the balance of the forest, and how it had healed the land after a devastating drought. These stories were not just entertainment, they were lessons about respect, responsibility, and the delicate interdependence of all living things. The tribes understood that their survival was tied to the health of the forests and the creatures within them. The winged serpent was seen as a protector of the land, a sentinel that watched over the delicate ecosystem. Whenever they took whatever whenever they took from nature, whether through hunting or gathering, they offered thanks to the creatures, asking for its blessing and forgiveness. This practice instilled a sense of stewardshipness among the people, fostering a deep respect for the environment and the commitment to preserving the balance that the creature so fiercely defended. In times of hardship, when the seasons were unkind or resources dwindled, the tribes would gather in the moonlight, whispering prayers to the creature. They believed that by honoring it, they could invoke its spirit to guide them through challenges. The elders often spoke of dreams where the creature appeared, offering insight and strength, assuring them that they were never alone in their struggles. As the years passed, the tales of the winged serpentine creature evolved, yet its essence remained unchanged. It became a symbol of unity, a reminder of their shared responsibility to the earth and to one another. In their hearts, the people carried the creature's legacy, cherishing the wisdom passed down through generations. They understood that as long as they revered and respected the guardian of the forest, their bond with nature would flourish, and the spirit of the winged serpentine would forever soar above them, watching over the land they called home.
Okay, so the winged serpent. I think we've seen like the dragon. I forget what they call them. I think they're called wyvern or something.
I think so.
I like it that you have it where it's protecting a lot of the balance in the forest because I mean, you see it even today where you see that when people clear cut the land and you get landslides, you get dried earth, nothing grows there. So having it protect, it would be nice to have them actually in protection of some of the stuff that is being logged, to be honest. Can we get a winged serpent? um
Mm.
Having it teach though to the balance part, to protect the balance. I do like that very much with the serpentine dragon. What's your the inspiration? What was the source that you material that you kind of went through with this one?
It was. I'm not really sure where it came, but it was one of those like legends from like a long time ago. I can't remember like exactly where because you know me, I researched so many things that
Mm-hmm.
like unless I have it right there in front of me, like, I don't really can't really say exactly where this, but it I probably have it written down in the notes in my because I know I keep everything, so I know. Well, this is where I got this, and this is where I got that. But yeah, I pulled it from somewhere because I just um, searched up the topic, like the whole dragon deity thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, but yeah,
I mean, it seems more because like the that one, and it seems more like deep, like even like deep folklore. Like you're talking like people that are
yeah,
still like some of it I can see aspects of it, even like what is it, the Black Forest in like Romania, certain myths that way that are still even just kind of kept in the background. They don't talk as much about it, but it has its roots, right?
Yeah.
And again, teaching of like the balance part. Maybe even Amazonian, because you're watching it now, you're watching stuff kind of get deforested or logged or moved around. And we actually see that a lot today, even just the plain cities, no matter where you're at, because people are always making room for more habitations. That they're clear cutting stuff. They're cutting trees down. And I kind of still, myself, my preference on it would be to leave the trees alone. I kind of find it
Yeah.
I find it really sad when an establishment, a house or something just chops down a bunch of trees on their land, because that was shade, that was like life, that was food, that was sustenance, it was its own ecosystem. So, and all that's like gone now. It's just clear cut, straight, like burning from the sun kind of land now.
Yeah.
But
Well, I guess that's the what cost of evolving as a people. I guess you take from the land with no reverence for what was there, could have been there, what can be there.
yeah, a lot of people just see the material, or like I said, the comfortability. They don't want to see. There's karma. She says, "Yep." They don't want to. Again, it's not struggle in a way, because some people think that going back to an older
Yeah.
way would struggling. It's actually just creating the balance. When you do walk in reverence, when you actually appreciate everything around you, and you don't have much material, you do have a more appreciation for the things that are alive, that are around you, that you want to keep preserve that which is alive. Like if you're getting your medicine from a black walnut tree, you're not going to go chop it down. You're going to
Yeah.
let that tree continue, because that medicine will keep coming from that tree. So
Yeah.
people don't think about it that way. They just see it as wood. So it depends on their limitation.
Yeah. Their perspective on the limitation of that thing that is actually helping them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good teaching stories. Okay, so we're still on the Serpentine. So we have a Serpentine Guardian is the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will read this one. And then we have one, two after that. The Serpentine Guardian of Good Fortune. In the heart of the valley, where the gentle caress of the river met the embrace of the earth, the Serpentine Guardian was more than just a creature of myth. It was the embodiment of the villagers' hopes and dreams. Its presence was woven into the very fabric of their lives, a symbol of prosperity and harmony that transcends generations. As the seasons changed, the villagers observed the dragon's moods mirrored in the sky. When it danced among the clouds, the sun would break through, illuminating the fields and signaling the time for planting. They believed that the dragon's movements stirred the winds, coaxing the rain that nurtured their crops. Each droplet was a blessing, and every harvest was a testament to the guardian's favor. The villagers spoke of the dragon in reverent tones, sharing tales around flickering fires as dusk settled over the valley. They told of how it had once saved their ancestors from a terrible drought, descending from the peaks in a swirling tempest, its presence a whirlwind of energy and life. In gratitude, the people had built shrines, adorning them with offerings of fruit, rice, and flowers, their vibrant colors symbolizing the bounty they hoped to receive. During the harvest festival, the atmosphere transformed into a vibrant tapestry of joy and reverence. The air buzzed with laughter and music, and the sense of freshly baked bread filled the streets. Lanterns shaped like the guardian flickering to life, illuminating the faces of young and old as they danced in a jubilant circle. This was not just a celebration of the harvest, it was the profound act of communion with the guardian, an invitation for it to partake in the fruits of the labor. With each swaying movement, they felt a connection that transcended the earthly realms. When the dragon was invoked through song and dance, it was believed that its spirit would descend, blessing the fields with its energy. Children would reach out, believing they could touch the shimmering scales of their guardian, while elders shared stories of how the dragon had guided them through trials and tribulations. The villagers understood that their fate was intertwined with the dragon or the guardian's well-being. Respect for the land and its resources was paramount. They practiced sustainable farming, ensuring that their gratitude was reflected in their stewardship of the earth. They knew that to honor the dragon was to honor the cycle of life, fostering a balance that allowed both the land and its people to thrive. As night enveloped the valley and the stars twinkled like the guardian's eyes above, the villagers would gather to share a final feast, recounting the year's blessings and challenges. They would raise their cups in salute, whispering prayers of thanks and hopeful wishes into the cool night air, knowing that their devotion would ensure the dragon remained a steadfast protector. In this sacred bond, the serpentine guardian of good fortune was not merely a figure of folklore, but the heart of the valley itself, a timeless symbol of unity, resilience, and the enduring power of belief. Each year, as the festival came to a close, the villagers felt a renewed sense of purpose, carrying with them the warmth of the guardian's spirit, ready to face the future with courage and hope. I do very much like this one, and there's a little bit more of a connection for, at least in my experiences in my linear life. I was actually able to partake, so it seems more on the Chinese serpent guardian or the Chinese dragon. I was able to partake in a lot of the New Year celebrations where they've done a Chinese dragon dance, and so you dance and move the dragon around, and
Yeah.
normally the dragon is following the pearl, which the pearl would represent like it's a light source, right? So you're representing that hard pressed turning into to you would take sand and press it, and it makes a pearl like a diamond. So the dragon would always follow the pearl, but it's also showing people where the light is. So in that dance, like you said, you're giving reverence, you're celebrating together, your people's hearts are celebrating together. It's just a place of merriment when doing that. So it kind of reminded me a lot of the Chinese New Year.
I think that's where I got that. To be honest, was like the Chinese. I think that's where I got that sort of where that sort of material came from,
It's
if I
actually
remember correctly.
it's actually really good. Like, and it's because they're on the lunar calendar. I think we just talked about it right
Yeah.
before recording, but because they're doing the lunar calendar though too, it's not coincide with the Gregorian calendar, and I think it's at the second or the first new moon of the year. And again, that abundance, the dragon is revered in their mythology as abundance. It's abundance of heart, abundance
Yeah.
and stability, and good fortune, good luck. Where some dragons sometimes aren't in other mythologies. Um, but it is awesome to be a part of having to go through the dance part with it, and you're flowing with people, you're connected to the person in front of you, behind you, and the person who's leading, and all the traditions that go with it, all the foods and stuff and different ways that you're celebrating.
Yeah.
It was just, it would be, I say equivalent to, but also having to experience a powwow when I was really young, the energy that goes into people that are connecting together. It's a really cool energy.
Yeah. And also, you see the common thread that they at the end of all the festivals or however they wanted to celebrate, they all came together.
Hmm.
They all just didn't go back to their house and be like, "Well, we gave our thanks. We all came together and shared what we could with everybody."
Yeah, they didn't just go home. And I like the whole twinkling stars and the lantern, like the lantern festivals. You see that in the
Yeah.
other stories as well. They're coming together even in the evening hours at night, because even though it's night and you can see the reflections and effects of the dragons in the sky at the time during the daytime, they're also at night. This is equally important. Those cycles, the smaller ones.
Yeah.
I do like that. All right, you have the next one.
I think you get to read the one about. I think if I remember correctly, the last one is about greed. I think that you get to read that one, if I remember correctly.
Well, I haven't read it, so I guess we'll find out. You get the what's this one? You get a
The
monstrous.
mon- yeah, the monstrous sea dragon.
All right.
As twilight deepened, the valley transformed into a canvas of colors, with hues of orange and purple blending seamlessly across the sky. The villagers gathered at the water's edge, their faces illuminated by flickering torches, each flame a testament of their unwavering devotion. The monstrous sea dragon, once a fearsome force of nature, had become a symbol of resilience and duality in their culture. Long ago, the dragon was said to have roamed the vast ocean, its scales shimmering like polished emeralds under the sun. It commanded the waters, stirring storms and quelling tempests, embodying the untamable spirit of the sea. Tales of its fierce battles with celestial beings were passed down through generations, each recounting the lessons learned from those epic confrontations. The dragon's ferocity reminded the people of the delicate balance between chaos and order, a balance that was crucial for their survival. With each, with each offering laid upon the altar, shells, fish, and beautifully crafted trinkets, the villagers sought to honor the dragon's legacy. They believed that these tributes would not only appease its spirit, but also invoke its protection. The sea dragon had taught them that while destruction could arise from nature's fury, it also paved the way for creation and renewal. The fishermen who once feared the dragon's wrath now understood that it was the guardian of the waters, ensuring that the cycles of life remained unbroken. As the sun disappeared completely, the villagers sang songs of gratitude, their voices harmonizing with the gentle lapping of waves. They shared stories of the dragon's bravery, recounting how it had once defended their shores from marauding forces, becoming a legendary protector in their folklore. The tales served a dual purpose. They were a celebration of their heritage and a reminder of the strength that resided within them. Children listened wide eyed, dreaming of one day becoming as fierce and noble as the dragon that watched over them. It was not merely a relic of the past, it was a living part of their identity, embodying their values of courage, respect for nature, and the understanding that every force, whether gentle or fierce, had a place in the world. As darkness enveloped the valley, the people felt an innate connection to the dragon, an acknowledgement of their shared existence. They knew that as long as they honored its memory, they too would be part of the vast tapestry that intertwined life and legend, chaos and harmony. The monstrous sea dragon was not just a creature of myth, it was a powerful reminder of their roots and the eternal dance between creation and destruction that defined their lives.
So, are we talking about Godzilla? I just threw it off there. Right.
I think that's more along the lines of like um, Loch Ness, that sort of thing.
Or it would be, I think in the original Scales of Times, it was like Leviathan. Tiamat was
Yeah,
Leviathan.
yeah,
Um, so, well, and even you're saying you're talking Loch Ness. There's been so many. I even think there was Champlain, so in the Great Lakes area, you have Champ
yeah,
of
champ. And then
different.
they got that one Bear Lake monster or whatever it is.
Yeah, and but it makes you think because like if anybody's ever seen a sturgeon,
Yeah,
they're actually huge. They're like you're talking like 7, 8. They can get really big, really
yeah,
big fish. So how much of it was also misconstrued there? But still, it's it's the creatures that live there, right? It's their land, and there have been you can look at it throughout even regular mythology and people who are seafaring at the time. They've always had even on their maps when they drew them, they always had like a sea creature there.
yeah.
So there's so much more we don't know about the ocean it's than anything else at this point. It makes
But I
you.
really like this last one.
I like the water one, so now I'm interested to know how this one would go. I'll show you the last one as we go from water to fire. Fire breathing dragon. In the northern reaches of the valley, where the mountain kissed the sky, the fire breathing dragon loomed large in the hearts and minds of the people. Its shimmering scales, reflecting the light of the sun, were seen as a blessing, a sign that prosperity was within reach. The dragon, once a noble guardian, watched over the treasures it hoarded, each piece a testament to the valley's rich history and the hard work of its inhabitants. As the years unfolded, tales of the dragon's powers spread beyond the valley, drawing visitors from distant lands, eager to witness the majesty of the creature and its hoard. However, with the lure of riches came the shadow of greed, and the dragon's once pure purpose began to twist. It became a symbol not just of wealth, but of the insatiable desire that could consume even the kindest hearts. The stories of its demise served as a cautionary tales, echoing through the valley during the long winter nights. Elders would gather the young ones around crackling fires, weaving narratives of the dragon's fall from grace. They spoke of the day when the creature, blinded by its own avarice, unleashed a torrent of fire upon those who dared to approach its lair. It was a moment that shattered the peace of the valley, teaching all who witnessed the cost of unchecked desire. In the aftermath, the people recognized the need for balance. They began to hold festivals in honor of the dragon, not to glorify its greed, but to honor the lessons it imparted. These gatherings transformed into a vibrant celebrations of community, where laughter and music filled the air, and the stories of the dragon served to remind everyone of the importance of humility and sharing. During these festivals, folk would bring their own treasures, simple tokens crafted by hand, fruits of the harvest, and even songs passed down through generations. In sharing, they found joy that far surpassed any wealth the dragon had ever hoarded. The festive spirit began a testament to unity, became a testament to unity. As people danced together under the watchful gaze of the mountains, the very peaks that had once shielded the dragon's hoard. Through these gatherings, the valley's inhabitants learned that true riches lay not in material possessions, but in the bonds they forged with one another. They crafted a culture that celebrated generosity, understanding that every act of kindness was a treasure in its own right. The fire breathing dragon, though fallen from its pedestal, remained a powerful symbol, a reminder of the fragility of greed and the enduring strength of community. As time passed, the legend of the dragon evolved, became intertwined with the identity of the valley, a shared narrative that shaped the values of its people. They spoke not of a creature to be feared, but of a spirit that guided them toward a brighter future, one where the warmth of kindness outshone the cold allure of gold. The dragon, in its demise, had paved the way for a legacy of love, unity, and the understanding that what truly matters is not what one possesses, but what one shares with the world. That has been a common
See,
theme.
I like that.
I do like that one. It is, again, back to the people and the connections. What truly matters is what's inside. It's the sharing, the spirit of sharing that when we look at culture, and it's been something of a culture talk and on a lot of different subjects, but when you're looking the difference between cultures that are very sharing, like some people have even said communism, community, right? We're not talking about the dictatorship of it, but the way the community is actually together with its people. And you go into something that's a little bit more westernized, there's a bit of a culture shock that from certain people that have experienced both sides of these is that normally you help somebody out this, you'll help somebody who's struggling. If you see an elderly person, you help them, you don't walk past them. Sometimes when you're very disconnected in some western society, you see this disconnect with them even wanting to help and be compassionate or share. It's more about the mentality of how much money they're making, or is it going to be money off of me to go and actually reach out to a person. So I like how your story embodies that again, greed, humility, to teach that it's the connections with people, their heart space. That's the real gold in a way.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So did you see how all the stories had everybody coming together and giving thanks for what they actually had or what they are able to give up to keep what they had?
Yes. It's it's an awesome way to connect people. It's a great way to again show that even in what hardships people go through, things can be misconstrued, or people can take the perception of something scary and outside himself, whether it be a monstrous sea monster. But understand that in coming together and respecting, they're basically afraid of the unknown, which causes people to be in that divisive mode, division. When we see things with our heart instead of with trauma or fear, then the things around us shift. That they become more balanced. We become more balanced. We become more heart orientated.
Yeah.
So taking the stories, you've done that, to explain a way to take away that fear, on that limitation. We often, when we're in fear, a lot of people limit themselves. So you do a lot of that in your stories. What actually inspired you to take that on? I know you're a storyteller, but to take on more and teach more people about perspectives.
From talking to like you and everybody, like well, mostly it was my grandma and like talking to my brother and my other, like my other aunt and everybody. They always said that to listen to somebody's story is to have them share a bit of what they've been through or what they're going through or what they might go through in the future with you. And so if you disregard somebody opening up to you, that's disregarding that person and you should never do that.
That's a good way to look at things. Each one of us is an expression of the great spirit of source. So to disregard the person in front of you is like disregarding your thumb because it's not the pinky.
Yeah. Yeah. Or disregarding yourself in a way because they're opening up to share something with you, and so you need to listen and try to uh inter, understand and not just understand what they're going through
And then you can go one
because
step further. If you overstand, that would be your ego taking and controlling that.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's why I always tell you, if you ever need somebody to talk to or something, I'll find time to listen because everybody needs somebody to listen.
True. And that's actually, has taken in even in the last month for myself, that piece of advice, because no matter what that person is, how they're even experiencing you or the next person, it's still valid that they're experiencing it. They may not know how to get out of that mindset, but if people just take the time to listen, you come to an understanding. That is, and most people don't. They listen to respond or react or just have their own overstanding.
Yeah,
So all it takes is just a few minutes sometimes, just even to help you understand that person, which can
yeah,
facilitate healing. So thank you.
yeah,
And the offer
which
remains.
can have which could have them understand or overstand or even come to the realization that they're overstanding how they're feeling or what they're going.
Hmm. How else do you have healing if we go the other way, right? If we choose to,
Yeah.
like I said, not listen, disregard them. Let's say my finger's got a hole in it, right? So am I going to just be like, well, it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to let it bleed out?
Why would your finger have a hole in it? What are you doing to your finger that it has a hole in it?
Decided to use a drill on
That
it. No, I cut something
that
would have.
that would be my first question. Is like, why would you do that to your finger, or what happened to your finger that happened to your finger?
See, and then that would be you then taking the time to sit down and understand what happened to my finger. Am I going to do this again? And why did I do that? As opposed to just
Yeah,
looking at it and going, well, I don't know what happened to it. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to disregard it and let it bleed out. Like, most people would do that instead of, wait a second, why?
yeah,
So, again, a way to facilitate healing. So I'm thanking you for that. Same, extending the offer of friendship and hearing as well as listening. your grandmother for helping to teach that and also preserved it. You preserved it through, it's been preserved through you. So I'm giving thanks. And to you, you're still writing a lot of these stories, still to expand people's perspectives out. It's beautiful. And we did invite somebody, but it came, we were halfway through recording that they actually responded. So
Yeah,
we will ask
I
that.
I just barely saw that.
Same here. So the next time we do a recording, what I'll do is we'll put out maybe a day in advance. Hey, we're gonna record the next day, and maybe look for an actual time this time, and see if anybody
Yeah,
wanted to be available to jump in. They can offer perspective on it as well. So,
yeah.
and as always, I will put the rest of your information for the Tales on Winds of Time in there. Still awaiting that book, the second one. I know it's a process. Um, and
Yeah.
where they can find it at. And thank you, Bucky, for allowing me to listen and allowing me to tell some of them.
Well, thank you for listening and reading it.
All right, and on to the next one.